We are back. Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be episode 2. And today we're going to talk about more entertainment things. We're going to talk about Thor Love and Thunder casting. We're going to talk about the Harry Potter news that came out today. And we're going to talk about the prestigious Willy Wonka sequel that it just broke will be starring Armie Hammer.
Prequel,
Um,
in fact.
Yes, the prequel. Yes. It's gonna be a thing where I throw in an Army Hammer joke in an intro each episode now, so just get used to it. Evan, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. My human flesh cravings have gone down since last time. I think my time away from Army Hammer has really spruced up my diet and appetite.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm
Well,
getting away from the humanitarian efforts that he roped me into.
good. I'm glad to hear that. So yeah, and also at the end of each episode, we're gonna do not a segment because I'm not gonna act like we have segments, but just we're gonna talk about what we've watched this week: trailers, TV shows, movies. There have been a couple new releases. There have been some trailers that one specific trailer I really want to talk about, and then yeah, anything. It doesn't have to relate to any conversations. If you watched an episode of iCarly, we'll talk about it. I haven't, but maybe one day I will. So the first story we are going to start off with is one I think we could spend a bunch of time on. Warner Brothers set a release date, and I don't know if it was announced they were doing this movie before, but they're going to do a Willy Wonka prequel.
Speculated. The speculation for this script has been around. So I
Okay,
know an idea appeared on the blacklist like a few years back.
gotcha.
So this idea has been in Warner Brothers canon for some time. But yes, there is a prequel to beloved children's film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in the work.
Yes. Yeah, I hadn't heard about this before the story broke that they were eyeing Tom Holland or Timothy Chalamet, maybe both, interchange them, which is what I would do. Um, but
Maybe
yeah,
like Tom Holland grows up and becomes Timothy Chalamet. And
yeah, yeah, a big strong boy. Um, Evan, first off, have you seen either the Gene Wilder or Johnny Depp Willy Wonka movies? Because I have not.
well, I am actually a very big fan of Gene Wilder's original. I think
Okay,
it's probably the greatest family film, at least for me personally. I think it's one of the best family movies ever made. It's up there with The Wizard of Oz and all that stuff. The remake is fine. It's not, a lot of people hate it. I think it's pretty good.
I think I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah, the thing is with the remake, they try really hard to go in the exact opposite direction from the original,
Mm,
which I admire. I hate it when remakes are just like trying to reinvent the wheel. They just go 180 opposite direction. The original was kind of small, intimate. It had like kind of small, not the most realistic looking sets, but it
gotcha.
had a kind of like warm charm to it. In the remake, they go for big sets, big action, lots of uh, movie references and stuff like that. And of course, Johnny Depp is crazy.
Hmm.
But my biggest question about this prequel is just like, well, it's exactly that. They did one of these like 15 years ago.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, what's the statute of limitations on these like sequels? How long can you keep? I mean, we just had what? The Thing was only 10 years ago, so we're gonna go see another Thing remake, so on and so forth. I
Hmm.
mean, this is
Yeah. I just
feels
think
like
it's interesting because I think it's, a big studio wanting to give an iconic character to one of these younger actors who, I mean, you talk about Timothy Chalamet and Tom Holland, already pretty big. Tom Holland's obviously going to be Spider-Man for the next 30 years. No, he's not, but he's going to have a lot of movies. I mean, if you think Spider-Man 3 is the last Tom Holland Spider-Man movie we're getting, you are going to be mistaken. But it was funny. I saw something on Twitter that was like every casting director in Hollywood right now. And when you Google a cast and it comes up with the little boxes of like the cast and their bios or whatever, it was just pictures of, it was a Google search and it said actors in Hollywood, and it was just all Tom Holland and Timothy Chalamet pictures. And it's funny, but that's honestly the truth of what's going on right now, and has been going on for so long. You see these actors recycled in these roles, and it's kind of sad. I mean, there's no reason either of these two people need a movie like this, a role like this. Give
And
it
a
to someone
role,
different.
a role
This movie's probably pointless anyway, but yeah, thoughts on that?
oh, uh, sorry to cut you off, but
No,
a
absolutely.
role of this specifically, I think this early, I mean, they both have very established careers by this point.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
both kind of climbing up. But I think like Tom Holland is already in Spider-Man. I think taking on what looks to be another franchise role
Hmm.
doesn't seem great this early in his. At this point, I would, if I were him, I would rather wait until Spider-Man is over, which
Sure.
should be
Yeah.
10 years, 15 years from now. And then you can do stuff like this. But it's just like, I feel like that's just too much too quickly
Yeah.
for both of them. I would rather them go with possibly an unknown.
Sure.
I mean, I would rather them not do a Wonka prequel whatsoever. Who's asking for this?
Yeah, that's
But like, I mean, they just go with the two standard. Hey, these guys play kids, so
yep.
we'll go with one of them.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't feel like if those are the two names that are coming out as, the top choices or whatever. First of all, I don't know if it would be top choices for either of those actors. I I highly doubt one of them is going to be casted in this role, first of all. But I don't know. I think it's just really interesting, and it speaks a lot to the industry. And you look at like some big franchises, like I saw someone compare it to Star Wars. Like they took some unknown actors in their sequel trilogy. Adam Driver was obviously, in a bunch of stuff before he was in Star Wars, but that kind of, put his career on a really good trajectory. People really wanted him to win the Oscar for Marriage Story, and I thought he was awesome in that too. Um, he's
Performance.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff after Star Wars, and as he should. Honestly, he's a really good actor, and John Boyega and Daisy Ridley, they kind of gave them a good thing that a lot of people will see them in to set their careers on a good path. So I mean, yeah, going with these guys who are already established and could probably get any role they want right now, it's certainly something that I think speaks a lot to the industry and how stuff like this needs to change, I think.
And yeah, exactly. I think it's like it's just becoming a bit too predictable. I think if we put these two actors also right here, I feel like people are going to be like, all right, Chalamet overload, Holland overload.
Hmm.
It's just like you don't have to put them in everything. They don't have to be in everything.
Yep.
And especially this movie is set to be released like 3 years from now. So who
Hmm.
really knows what the state of film is going to be by that
Right.
point? Now,
Yeah.
I would find very interesting is that I remember hearing, and from what I've looked into, it's still happening, that there was already going to be a Willy Wonka remake with Taika Waititi behind the rim. That was
Wow.
supposed to be released to Netflix, I think.
Hmm.
But like from what I've seen, that's still going on. So I
Oh,
guess
wow.
it's going to be two Willy Wonka properties being released. And if they're both being made right now, they'll probably come out around the same time. So I guess we'll see
Yeah.
Wonka today and then Wonka, the story of how he came to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so. I mean, I'd watch anything Taika Waititi does, and
Right.
but that's interesting to me because I know he's in the process of making a Star Wars movie too. So, I don't know. There's no release date for that. I don't think there's no official announcements besides that it's happening, but that would be interesting to have a Wonka cinematic universe. And
Listen, if
yeah,
Taika Waititi does it, then I'll of course see it. I think if anyone was to do a modern Roald Dahl film, I think Taika Waititi's the great. He's I think the of all modern working directors, I think he's the person who has the most like he balances comedic and like imaginative
yeah,
fantasy.
and he likes color and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. His movies seem like that kind of that they would fit that. I don't disagree at all with that.
It's
Yeah,
kind of like darkness too, that like is in the novels as well. I think the kind of lurking satiric, darker humor that
hmm
Roald Dahl has. I think Wahidi would be the best choice. The guy who have to direct this one, I know he did Paddington, which
yes,
I
I
haven't
did hear
seen,
that.
but
Yeah,
I know a lot of people love. So
yeah. I haven't seen either of those movies either. So but I have heard nothing but good things about them. So if it's a fun kids movie, you know, can't go wrong with that. But I personally just would not, you know, Tom Holland's Spider-Man for the next 10 years, and he's already been in like 5 movies. Timothy Chalamet is, a lot of people are saying he's like the Leo of our generation, or, starts out really young and is in a couple movies that people would consider classics already. You look at an Army Hammer movie, Call Me by Your Name. Everything circles back to Army Hammer. That's the point I'm trying to make here.
understanding all of this.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, these guys don't need this role. Give it to someone that could start their career off with a movie like this.
And of course, right. And of course, like no doubt in my mind, if they do get cast, I'm sure they'll be great. I'm sure
Yeah,
Timothy
absolutely.
Chalamet is an exceptional actor, Tom Holland as well, and everything I've seen him in. I'm sure they'll be great with it. Maybe they want Tom Holland because they want someone British to do it. I don't know.
hmm
But
Yeah.
like, I think it would be fine. It wouldn't be a bad choice with them, but it's just everything have to be them is the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, that's what the Willy Wonka news is. Make a movie, Warner Brothers. Make a movie and
Please write
make
something original.
yeah, make a different movie. Yeah.
This one
Um,
twice. Repeat it twice.
yeah. All right. So moving on from that, I want to talk about this news that came out today. I was looking at it, and it was something I had actually, I think I tweeted about it recently, and I'll put my Twitter in the description. Follow me because I'll tweet about movies and baseball and just my random thoughts. And follow Evan if he wants you to. I can't speak for him.
Follow what journalist, please.
um, but I wanted to talk about this Harry Potter news because I had been saying for a while with these cinematic universes, you look at how Marvel's done it with Kevin Feige. If you really want someone who, uh, if you really want to build a good franchise that's continuous or not, just a franchise in general, like how DC is doing, like how Star Wars tried to do with their sequels, you have to have a general guy who's an overseer, like Kevin Feige with Marvel. And Harry Potter is going to have one, it looks like, as Warner Brothers has appointed a new executive, Tom Aschheim. I don't know how to say his name. That's my guess. But it says it in this article from Variety that he's going to oversee the Harry Potter universe. And I know Harry Potter's been doing those Fantastic Beast movies. I've caught a glimpse of the first one. It didn't really interest me that much. I absolutely love the Harry Potter movies. But, those characters are, their story's kind of finished. If you want to do something with their children, I know there's The Cursed Child, which I've seen on Broadway, and it was good, even though the story's bad. Because why does Voldemort have a daughter? But I think it's really good news for Harry Potter fans, and I know there's a really cool game coming out that's going to be like a Hogwarts RPG. So I'm definitely going to play that. I just wish J.K. Rowling wasn't so dumb, um, and that makes her hard to work with. So Harry Potter maybe getting more
Very
movies. I don't know about prequels. What do you think about that?
well, someone who's never a big Harry Potter fan,
Uh huh.
though I kind of grew up around the films, not with them.
Okay.
So I am kind of removed from this as possible. But I see that they're trying to expand this film into a franchise. And I think that's probably a good idea, a lucrative idea at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Those Fantastic Beasts films, I think it's good they have someone running the ship because I saw both Fantastic Beasts films.
Okay.
First one I found moderately interesting.
Okay.
The second one I found painfully dull.
Okay.
And so I think they're going to
Yeah.
want someone to smooth these things out. Now, I don't know enough about Fantastic Beasts. I know that one's based on a J.K. Rowling book.
Yes.
No J.K. Rowling, I mean, she keeps embarrassing herself online.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they're going to want her to be penning the new script to these films.
Probably not.
Probably not. So I imagine it's going to be way in the hands of a group of new writers who are going to be, it's going to be like a Marvel Cinematic Universe
Hmm.
scenario. And in that case, they're definitely going to need a Kevin Feige because when you're going off in speculation, when it's all this group of writers taking these characters and doing their own things with them, completely away from the books, it can be tempting to kind of go all over the rails with it. That's the way
Sure.
that DC did it at first. That was kind of their problem starting out, is that they would have, I think DC, without having that captain on the ship, their quality controls all over the place. They would
Hmm.
have some really great films and some really awful ones. So I think Harry Potter, they're trying to play it safe. They're trying to do the Marvel formula. They're going to start off slow and hopefully, well, I don't know. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but hopefully for Harry Potter fans, in about 10 years, maybe we can see this grow into something similar to the MCU now.
Yeah, and I think the thing about these big franchises is like you look at how Marvel does it, and of course that's so successful that they had one continuous storyline. But also, you don't have to do that. You can just do what DC's done with some of their other movies. Look how they made a Joker solo movie, and it's not, as far as I know, it's not connected to anything. And that made $1 billion. And they're making a Robert Pattinson Batman movie that doesn't have any of the people introduced in the DC universe right now. And that's probably going to make a ton of money too. I know I'll be seeing that on the first day it comes out because that trailer was awesome. So I would really go ahead.
Oh, uh, well, as it stands, I'd say that the Joker was probably the best film in the DCEU.
Sure.
I would say a wide margin, and that goes to show that you don't have to be scared of going all over the place and letting people do their own kind of stuff. I think they're playing it safe by having a guy oversee it. I think the way DC, I think it works a little better because they already have about 70 years of comics built up that they can like pull from.
Yeah.
And it would be nice if they would allow, maybe they could get like an Edgar Wright style director to come in to his take on it on Harry
That'd be
Potter,
awesome.
or like, yeah, that would be. Or another kind of director have them do their take on Harry Potter, so on and so forth. And that would be good, but I think to make it they want not to upset the fans, to not upset the horde. And I think if that's their prerogative at the moment, then doing the MCU formula is probably for the best. But I don't think they should be scared of necessarily doing it on their own. But I do see why they're making that decision because they probably just want to do a Star Wars type thing.
Yeah.
I think DC is kind of striking out, luckily, with this Matt Reeves Batman and with the Joker standalone film and with Birds of Prey and so on. but I don't know if Harry Potter would be able to have the same success doing the same model.
Yeah, sure. I think what I would really like to see them do is do maybe not, a continuous storyline, but do a prequel or two. I'd really, really like to see the Marauders when they were at Hogwarts, like older Hogwarts too. I'm sure they could do stuff with like how Hogwarts started and the origins of all that, because that stuff's like kind of touched on in Harry Potter, but like you said, it's not like they have all these comics and like lore that if they went back that far, they would have to stick to something. They have the freedom to do what they want, or they could go 100 years after Harry Potter or whatever. But I would really like to see a young James Potter, Sirius Black, Peter Pettigrew, and Remus Lupin. I think that would be awesome, because the Marauders map is a huge part of the third Harry Potter movie, and it still plays in the others, and the Marauders just sound like a really cool storyline, and I think that would be awesome to see. But yeah, J.K. Rowling, stop being dumb. That's what I have to say about Harry Potter. So we're gonna talk about the next story I have, which is how Matt Damon. It came out a couple days ago that Matt Damon was casted for Thor: Love and Thunder, which is starting filming, I believe, this next week. So this is going to be the fourth Thor movie. We already know Chris Pratt's going to be in it. Karen Gillan, I think, is going to be in it, as well as Nebula, which probably means all the Guardians of the Galaxy will be in it at some point. Maybe not major players in it, but in it at least. Matt Damon was also in Thor Ragnarok. He had a small cameo where he played an actor that was playing Loki in a play on Asgard, which was one of the funnier moments of the movie. And I think Chris Hemsworth's brother Liam was playing Thor in the play, so that was another funny Easter egg. But yeah, Matt Damon's probably going to be in Thor. I don't know if it's going to be another cameo or if he's playing the same character and it's bigger somehow this time. I don't know how they would do that, but yeah, what do you think about Matt Damon and Thor?
Well, I think that Thor Ragnarok is probably one of my favorite MCU films by a wide margin, just because of how funny it was. It was a
Yeah,
very funny film,
Taika
and
Waititi
Taika
again.
Waititi, yeah, he's a great director. And I think Marvel saw that film's success, or at least just how people received it compared to how people received the other two Thor films, which were, yeah, take it or leave it. I think that Marvel's seeing that and they're kind of just going further in that direction with Thor 4. I think that's why you're going to see Matt Damon back more. It looks like because they're going to have the Guardians there. We're going to see the cosmic side of the MCU way more. We're probably just going to be more inundated, I guess, with the goings on in space, which is some of my favorite stuff in the Guardians films.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when you just see the world at large, you see all the crazy characters that make up the cosmic level in Marvel. That's always my favorite stuff in those Guardians films, and I really hope they bring that into Thor 4. As you said, Matt Damon he's in a very funny scene where they're putting on a play on Asgard. So maybe we'll see more of that. Maybe he'll play the same character, hopefully. And maybe that means we'll see Liam Hemsworth again.
Yeah, I think it'd
But I
be
guess
really funny.
it would be. I think this draws into like a greater picture of the future of the MCU. I think, like we said last week, I think the MCU is kind of easing into a point where they know that they can get money doing whatever they want. So I think they might start to play around a bit more, obviously staying within, the Marvel formula, which is
Mm-hmm.
regrettable. But I think we might be able to see some different things, some different takes, some different choices. Like maybe Thor: The Dark World will be more of a flat out comedy, or maybe it won't be a comedy at all.
Yeah.
But it looks like this film is shaping up to be at least somewhat of a departure from, the typical standard Marvel formula,
Yeah,
or at least the
and
standard Marvel like tone, the standard Marvel look, the standard Marvel plot. I think for the future of the MCU, I think we're going to see more films that deviate from that, because they have, as Endgame has proven, these guys, they've already got their audience hook, line, and sinker.
yeah,
They've got people who will see these movies no matter what they do. So hopefully we can see the MCU play around with some stuff with it.
yeah, totally. And Natalie Portman, I think, she's gonna be back in this movie. She was back for a little bit in Endgame, but she's gonna be back and I think become Thor at some point. Like I don't know how the comic book story is, but she ends up like taking the hammer. I think when they were at Comic-Con a couple of years, and I guess at 2019, she like lifted the hammer and whatever. And when they announced all the new Phase 4 Marvel movies, and Christian Bale's going to be the villain, which I'm super excited about. So
Oh, I
yeah, I'm
didn't know.
excited.
That's
Uh,
exciting.
yeah, Taika Waititi's back, and as we've mentioned, Taika Waititi's good at what he does. So do more good things, Taika Waititi.
I mean, I'm not, I guess, like, I saw the Phase 4 like reveal, and part of me was kind of rolling my eyes, like, all right, here we go, more of these.
Yep.
But I think optimistically, I'm looking forward to this. I think hopefully we're going to see more experiments, maybe not
Mhm.
experimental kind of stuff, but we're going to see them taking more risks, doing more surprising kinds of stories. So I think this bodes pretty well for the future of the MCU, personally. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah,
do you agree?
I would totally agree. Um, so yeah, Matt Damon's gonna be in Thor 4. They should have done a funny play on like rhyming Thor and 4, because he's the only one to get a fourth movie. I don't know what that would be, so don't ask me what it would be, because I don't want to make a fool of myself. Like
I mean, just
Thor
saying,
with a U in it. What'd you say?
just saying
Sorry.
Thor 4 veterans,
Yeah,
Thor 4
yeah,
as one word.
yeah. So yeah, but I really like Thor 3, like you said too. So I hope they do more of that, and I'd have no problem if they kept doing Thor movies, if because he's great and one of the only original Avengers that we're gonna have left. I mean, I guess Chris Evans is coming back, so that's kind of, and Black Widow hasn't come out yet, but in the continued storyline, I guess is what I mean to say. We'll still see the other ones with Hawkeye's series coming out, and Mark Ruffalo is going to be in the She-Hulk series. But yeah, that's kind of what Marvel's going to do there with Thor. I think they realize how good Thor Ragnarok was um, after the first two Thor movies. Not that they were, they were lesser Marvel movies. I think we can all say. So yeah, I'd really like them to continue doing that. So we're gonna briefly touch on something that kind of is a something that everyone expected to happen, I think, but Christopher Nolan, it came out in an article that it just said he's unlikely to return to Warner Brothers to do his next movie, whenever that is, whatever movie it is. I don't know if Christopher Nolan has done all of his movies with Warner Brothers, but obviously Dark Knight, Batman movies, and I would imagine all his recent movies after that were, Tenet. I'm not a big studio guy, so don't ask me about them.
They were all Warner Brothers,
Okay.
but of course, he came out and said that he disagreed with their model of putting
Yeah.
films online, like through HBO Max first, before putting them to theaters. And he very openly said that. So he's gonna part ways. Um, Honestly, I don't think this will make a difference in the quality of his films.
No.
These pictures never seem to be too studio meddled. But I mean, I think we are now seeing this is now, I think, cementing the whole putting movies out into streaming services first and then releasing them possibly to theaters later.
Yeah.
I think this is a sign that that's just kind of the way that movies are like turning to. That I think there's going to be just kind of movies are going to be split between blockbusters that are released online and blockbusters that are released in theaters. And I think we're going to see way more of the former as years go by. The fact that he walked away from Warner and Warner didn't say, okay, well, your movies we can put in theaters. The fact that he walked away is showing me that Warner is apparently really digging their heels in on
Right.
this. So I'm sure Nolan will find a home for people who will put their movies in theaters.
I mean, he's gonna get a payday from someone.
Right. But I think we're going to see, I think that just means that the state of blockbusters now, we're going to see way more blockbusters that are just going to be straight to home.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly feel good about that. I actually think I welcome it. You know, we don't have to go out and spend $13 every time we need to see the new. Every time I want to see Dune, or if I want to see No Time to Die, I can just see it from home.
Sure.
And I'm very happy about that. You know, this seems like good news to me. Obviously, sometimes going to the theater is fun, but I think if you look 10, 20 years down the line, I imagine the big chain theaters are going to be receding back way more. And you're going to see more like independent theaters. You're going to see your like art house cinemas, your Alamo draft houses, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly, that seems pretty good. That's I think how theaters could operate optimally. Is that you're going to see more older films being screened.
Yeah.
People's like personal collections and stuff like that. And you're going to see the occasional blockbuster screened, maybe doing like road shows and stuff like that. And I'm personally fine with it. I get why a lot of directors don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if that's like, you know, you've been trained in that way and like those are the kind of movies you make, especially Nolan's films. He makes a lot of films that are, and I don't mean this in like a derogatory way, he makes films that are very heavy on spectacle, that are very big visual marvels. And obviously those kinds of movies you'd rather see for the first time in a theater.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think this trend is it's going to change the way that movies are kind of sold and the way that movies are presented, in that big kind of action spectacle, IMAX, you know, your eyes are spinning and stuff like that. You're probably going to see studios investing less and less money into those kinds of things, and more money into the kind of spectacle that you can enjoy from the comfort of your home. You know, more money into movies that just kind of look very nice, or that have very pretty production design and stuff like that, and less the Avatar kind of things.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I think. It might go completely differently. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I agree. There are some movies where I really do prefer to see them in theaters, like the newer Marvel movies. I'm really hoping to see in theaters, and I saw 2 movies in theaters this past year and felt safe when I went. You know, I thought it was fine. There were about like 3 other people in our theaters, and they just spread you out, and that's about it. But one of the movies I saw in theaters was Tenet, and I, you know, understand pushing for movies to go out in theaters, but you know, it's people's decision to go see your movie or not. So I think it's interesting that Nolan really pushed so hard while we're going through something no one's really experienced in their lifetime right now. There, you know, I don't think he gained anything from it besides knowing that his movie did get put in theaters, and I think it's on like on demand now. You can go watch it from your house now, but it really is interesting that he pushed so hard for the theaters. Obviously, he makes these big spectacle movies, but you know, it's definitely a topic of conversation that can get pretty heavily debated, I think.
I think it's going to be a big deciding factor for directors and stuff, and choosing who to distribute their movies, so on and so forth. It's going to be like, and I think you're going to see a lot of directors really digging their heels on that. like, Tarantino. If Tarantino was still going to be going around shooting on 35 millimeter film,
Hmm.
I think he's also going to make a stand about having his movies screened in theaters first. So I think that's going to be a big topic, especially after the pandemic is over. That's
Hmm.
going to be a big point of contention a lot amongst a lot of filmmakers. And I could go either way with it. I feel myself, I agree with you that like the experience of seeing, and for me, a big horror fan, the experience of seeing like a horror movie in a room of other people is entirely different from seeing it from at your house. Like those are incomparable experiences. Even a bad horror film, when you watch it in a full theater, it's always fun. You always get that little laugh after the jump scare and stuff like that. It's an experience that you don't get watching it at your house with your buddies or anything.
Hmm.
So I would like it if theaters stay. It would be nice, but also if it moves past it, if it goes, like I said, to just a state of independent theaters, I think it honestly might be a welcome change of pace. Hopefully it doesn't have to get to that,
Yeah.
but I think it could be a good move.
Yeah, it's yeah, like we said, it's definitely interesting. And like you mentioned before, how movie theaters are doing their own thing. I haven't Each time I've gone to the movies, I haven't gone to a Regal or an AMC. It's been a local theater in my town, and they have had old movies. The first time I went, they were playing Empire Strikes Back, and the second time I went, they were playing Alien. So they're trying to get movies that people are like, "Oh, I wasn't around when those movies were in theaters, and it's cool to go see them in theaters now." And I'm sure it is. I didn't see any of those movies in theaters when they were out, but it's definitely probably a really cool thing to be able to see them now, if people feel it's safe, and if people feel the movie theaters doing all they can, and are okay with it. So yeah, um, I like movie theaters. They're fun.
A few years ago, actually, I caught at a local movie theater to me. They did a screening of 2001: Space Odyssey.
Okay.
And obviously, I was like what -40, -39 when that movie came out or
Hmm.
whatever. So I couldn't experience it when it was a thing in theaters, but I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I was like, oh my God, I'm very happy for this experience. So I like the movie theater. Movie theaters are
Yeah.
great. Hopefully they can stay. But I think the reality is just seeing how people, movie theaters are already on their way out. They're already kind of a industry that was pulling back.
Yep.
The pandemic, I think, is really showing studios that's like, well, why bother with doing all that now?
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think movie theaters, it's so much a thing of it how it's a crowd experience, and that's why you want to see these big movies in them. Because if you go to see, like a movie that's not totally a popcorn movie, I guess you could say, yeah, you can watch them at home. And but I remember seeing Avengers Endgame opening night, and that I went with like three of my buddies, and it was packed house, and every time a big moment happened, the crowd totally reacted to it. And it's just such a cool thing to have that like community of people you don't really know, besides if you're going with friends, um, and just like have that experience together. I think it's just really cool, and I hope it's saved. And yeah, go movie theaters. So last thing that we want to talk about real quick, before we touch on that, I just want to say this is being recorded on Thursday, so we have not seen the third episode of WandaVision. Um,
Oh,
Heard that it has a lot to do with the story, though, so fingers crossed that it's really entertaining. Not that the episodes last week weren't, but let's see some fun Marvel stuff because it's been so long. So yeah, we haven't seen that yet. I'm sure we'll talk about the next two next Friday if we're recording on Friday, so we can talk about 3 and 4 in one shot. And so we'll touch on both of those when we get to them. And last thing I want to mention is just what have we watched this week? Have you seen any trailers? Have you seen any TV shows? Have you seen any movies? Would you like to start, Evan?
Sure. So
Any good commercials?
I haven't seen any trailers recently,
Okay.
but I did see the on Amazon Prime the film One Night in Miami.
Hmm.
Uh, Found it. I thought that the movie was excellent. I thought it had an amazing screenplay. I know Ken Powell, he adapted from his own play.
Oh
And you
wow.
can kind of tell that this film was written to be a play. It
Okay.
has that kind of the sort of bottle quality, but it's still a really great movie. Um, the biggest shine, of course, are the performances of the four leads. They're all amazing. Um, the actor, his name is slipping my mind, Kingsley. I forgot his last name, but you can
Okay.
Google it. You can look. Who plays Malcolm X? He delivers an amazing performance. Um, Compared to Denzel Washington, who played the part about 2, 3 decades before
Hmm.
this, you see a lot more vulnerability with this Malcolm X. You see a lot more of the kind of the softer side or the kind of unsure at moments side, which I thought was fascinating. There are a lot of scenes with him and Leslie Odom Jr., who plays Sam Cooke, who he also sings as Sam Cooke, which is amazing.
Hmm.
And they both get into a lot of arguments going back and forth just about the nature of success and how that relates to a movement for liberation, and if you can do both or if you should use your voice specifically to lift up a movement, or if being successful alone is success for that movement enough. And they go on these conversations, and it's mostly like the conversation itself is kind of like mostly rhetoric, but like it's still fascinating to watch because it raises some really interesting ideas. And every time either of them make their points, you kind of go, well, he's got a point. 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 A lot of times in movies, you can tell what the director's point of view is by whoever speaks last, you know? But I think this film was very good in that it portrayed everyone in an objective way that kind of broke past the mystique beyond these characters and showed them as real human beings. The mystique beyond these, like, powerful icons of history. And I found that to be immensely entertaining. I definitely recommend it. It's a very tight, very top watch. So if you got Amazon Prime, check it out.
Yeah, I really really wanted to see this movie before we recorded, and I kind of just ran out of time. Bad excuse by me. I'm gonna watch it tonight. I really was looking forward to it because I saw the trailer. I know it's Regina King's directorial debut, so that's awesome because look at the story and look at the reviews it's getting. But four iconic people in their own fields. Just seems like a really good story, and I love Leslie Odom Jr. from Hamilton. I'm not too familiar with the other actors. I looked up the names. The guy that plays Malcolm X is Kingsley Ben Adir. So there you go.
It's
Um,
a fantastic performance, so be honest.
okay.
It's definitely all four of them are great, but his performance is I feel like this was released very strategically before awards season because
Sure.
that's definitely him and Leslie Odom Jr. are definitely two award show contenders, I'd say.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to watching this. I feel bad that I didn't because I would have provided some commentary, but Evan does the thing as well. So um, that's that's good to hear. That's really good. I'm excited for it. Anything else you want to talk about that you've seen?
I haven't seen anything recently. No, I did. I've been watching a lot of old classics and stuff like that. So, you know, always stay in touch with the classics. I watched one of my favorite. I rewatched one of my favorite films the other day, Danger Diabolic, which
Okay.
is if you've never seen it, it's a kind of obscure, low budget, like spy parody film from the 60s. Heavily recommended. Check it out. If we're plugging our Twitter, I think I might plug my Letterboxd. below
Yeah,
this.
I'm also on Letterboxd. I'll plug that in the description.
So yeah, follow us on Letterboxd
Yeah,
to see our film tastes.
yeah.
Anything you've watched, Declan?
So I have seen. There's a trailer I really, really want to talk about just because it's bonkers. But I saw the Matthew Perry, Zac Efron blockbuster 17 again on Netflix. I was just perusing the Netflix and I just want to watch a dumb movie. It came out a while ago, like back when Zac Efron was doing High School Musical still, which just came up on its 15th anniversary, the first movie. So that's crazy. So I was 3 when that came out, but that's a classic, obviously, although the second one's better. But so I watched that movie. Really dumb concept, but just a good teen movie that if you want to watch something and get away from whatever, just watch it. It's good. He starts out as Matthew Perry and turns into Zac Efron. That's pretty awesome for him. Um, so yeah,
Become
watch that.
17 again.
Say 17 again. Yes. On Netflix right now. I saw bits and pieces of it before, but never watched it in full. But yeah, um, if you're looking for a cinematic experience, don't watch it because there's some dumb effects in the beginning, and it's like weird how they do it. But it's funny and it's a dumb concept. Um, what else have I seen? I was gonna talk about One Night in Miami, but I couldn't. I saw the trailer for Nicolas Cage's new movie, which is what I've been dying to talk about. And this is called Willy's Wonderland. Now, if you aren't familiar with Willy's Wonderland, please acquaint yourselves. The trailer is on YouTube. Nicolas Cage is in he's in this movie where it's basically Five Nights at Freddy's, and I think he gets like fired at his job, and then he starts working at this place where it has animatronics. And obviously, if you know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, which was popular in the earlier 2010s,
Our middle school era, basically.
yeah, when I was like seventh, sixth grade, it was popping. And those games were always really funny. But the animatronics come to life overnight in this Chuck E. Cheese type, um, you know, place. And so that's the story of this one. Nicolas Cage is working there, and I guess he's there overnight. And in the trailer, it just shows him beating the crap out of these things. And it's dropping in February. So about 2, 3 weeks it's coming out. I don't know what it's going to be on. I forget, but really awesome, really dumb trailer starring Nicolas Cage. I don't think you can go wrong with that, even if it's super dumb. It'll definitely provide a solid amount of entertainment.
I did not see anything about this, and I'm very upset that I didn't.
Yeah.
Every new thing that Nicolas Cage comes out in, I'm always happy for. I
Mm-hmm.
remember Mandy, I loved it. Everything he's doing now, I love it. I have to see it. Willy's Wonderland.
Willy's
So it's
Wonderland. I'll send you or you can just look it up on YouTube. But I want to quickly shout out the Real Rejects. They're not going to see this on YouTube. They have almost like 1 million subscribers, so they'll never see this. But it was just so awesome because I watch their videos like every day, and they react to like trailers and like movie news. But their reaction to this trailer was awesome, just because it's looking like an awesomely funny movie and fun movie. So I was really, really, I was just laughing like the whole time I was watching it, and it was just, I want to watch this movie as soon as I can, um, because it's Nicolas Cage and he beats up alive animatronics. How can you go wrong?
What more could one want?
What more could one want? Yeah, maybe an Army Hammer cameo.
Of course,
Yeah,
as the animatronic.
yeah. Really quickly, going off of our guy Army, the Hammer is what I'm officially calling him. Um, we pitched the idea in our own Twitter DMs as we were DMing each other for an Army Hammer American Psycho I wouldn't call it a biopic, but I would call it a screenplay we're gonna work on. We're probably not gonna
It's
work on it.
fictionalized to avoid, any kind of legal action
Yeah, yeah.
by Hammer's estate. But
I
what we
didn't even
assume
think about
be the
that part.
Hammer.
That could get messy. But someone tweeted that, and they got like over 1,000 likes. And I don't know if it was Evan sent it to me, and I don't know if they tweeted it before we had mentioned that. But he said that to me, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like this was totally our idea." Let me see when they tweeted it. Hold on. Sorry for the dead air. I'm looking for this.
Because they're constantly reading our
Okay, they
DMs
tweeted it a
are
day
like
ago.
recipes of culture.
I was on it a day before. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Isn't that outrageous?
that is outrageous. I don't know if our Twitter DMs got leaked or they somehow are plotting for our demise. But
I think we've got our finger on the pulse of American culture.
yeah, probably. But an Army Hammer American Psycho movie, without trying to offend anyone, probably would not be possible in this time. We'd probably get sued. But I think it would be a funny idea, maybe. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. Sorry.
Again, the Army Hammer estate is going to send us a cease and desist letter very soon.
Army Hammer. Do you think we could get Timothy Chalamet in it, or would he be too busy with Wonka?
I think we could work in, we could have probably work in Tom Holland, I think, instead.
Okay, yeah.
As as Army Hammer's beleaguered victim.
Yeah. Or could we will it? Or could
You'll be one
we?
of the heads in Army Hammer's refrigerator.
Yeah. I think this could be in the Wonka cinematic universe.
Of course.
So yeah, that's our pitch for our movie. Warner Brothers, I know you lost Christopher Nolan, so we're free anytime. Just let us know. We're ready. Don't make the Wonka movie, please. We're asking for a lot of people. Or if you do, get someone.
Or and like if they do like go forward with it, I really hope it's like a Cats style like fiasco or like
Just
just
over
an
the top.
epic. Right. I want them to go 100% with it. I want to see like young like action adventure Wonka.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting in fights with the Oompa Loompas.
Is troubled upbringing, yeah. How did he
That was
get
in
to
the
be the
Tim
way
Burton
that he
movie
was?
where they do his backstory. Maybe they'll do that. Maybe that's what it'll be.
Yeah.
His troubled upbringing. Where he had to rise his way to the top of the cutthroat chocolate making
The
industry.
chocolate industry, yeah. Yeah. And then there'll be a Milton Hershey movie too. Okay.
It's set to Willy Wonka, and he's dealing with the lawsuits from parents whose child disappeared in the Wonka factory. He's just swamped with paperwork.
Army Hammer is Willy Wonka's hitman. He just gets the just
He's the fixer. Like he silences anyone who's like, "There's tainted candy."
Yeah. Okay, so we might have offended a lot of people joking about Army Hammer. Sorry.
Army Hammer, don't sue us.
It's at Army Hammer's expense. It's not at anyone else. But maybe it is. Who knows? I'm gonna stop talking before I say something I regret. That's all we're gonna talk about today. We've watched things. We have speculated about things. Anything else you want to add, Evan?
No.
No? Okay. Watch One Night in Miami. I know I will be doing so. Super excited to watch it.
On our Twitter and our letterbox.
Yes.
We'll link them below.
And on Evans, you'll see like, oh, I watched this like Oscar contender, like sleeper that's some unknown actor is going to get an Oscar nom and he's going to write that. And then you'll see me watching 17 again. The high school, I'll be rewatching Disney Channel original movies. That's what I provide to this conversation. Evan has the actual film knowledge.
Hey, you'd be surprised as to how many like popcorn films you'll find on my Letterboxd if you go
I'm
deep
gonna
in.
deep dive into that after this because I don't follow you, so we'll have to follow each other.
Oh yes, this will be fun.
Yeah, so look at our. Well, I'll put them down in the description. We'll be back next Friday. We'll talk about the new WandaVision episodes, and who knows, maybe we'll have our Willy Wonka. Wouldn't that be something? That's all we've got.
But it's one of us. We'll do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm free. Yeah, just let me know. All right, that's all we've got. Hope everyone enjoyed. And we got a whole 5 likes on the last one, I think. So let's make it 10. Let's go up 5 each time. But for starting out, I was pretty happy with how it did. So yeah, let's just keep it going. Send it if you watch us. Send us to your friends if they like movies, and we're gonna do this every Friday. So the more people that watch, the better. So if you watch this to this point, thank you. Thanks to Evan, and we'll see you next Friday. Goodbye.
Save entertainment.
Yes, yes, that's right. Goodbye.